A 2024 study published in the Journal of Exposure Science found over 3,600 chemicals from food packaging inside human bodies. 79 of them are linked to cancer, hormone disruption, and organ damage. But tear off the wrong sheet of plastic wrap and what you're really pressing against your food is phthalates, endocrine disruptors, and microplastics dressed up as freshness and convenience. For anyone on daily blood pressure medication or families reheating leftovers for kids every night, those chemicals are compounding the exact conditions you're trying to manage. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to expose 11 plastic wrap brands that failed to protect you, including one household name that nearly every American kitchen trusts without question. Stay until the very end because I'll also reveal the only two alternatives that actually passed independent safety testing. Coming in at number 11, Members Mark, the Sam's Club house brand. Bulk packaging, warehouse prices, the wrap you grab by the hundreds of feet because it seems like a smart deal. The box says BPA free. It says food grade. It says microwave safe. It says everything a budget-conscious shopper wants to hear. But here's what the box doesn't say. Members Mark plastic wrap is made from polyvinyl chloride, PVC, the same material environmental scientists have nicknamed the poison plastic because of the toxic chemicals required to make it flexible. PVC doesn't bend on its own. It needs plasticizers, and those plasticizers migrate. A peer-reviewed study in the journal Food Additives and Contaminants found that PVC-based cling films released measurable levels of plasticizer chemicals into fatty foods like cheese, deli meats, and butter within hours of contact. Not days, hours. The warmer the food, the faster the migration. Microwave safe doesn't mean chemical-free. It means the wrap won't melt visibly. The chemicals still move. Pull a sheet off the roll. Feel that cling, that slightly tacky, almost oily grip. That's not magic. That's a plasticizer doing exactly what it was designed to do, softening rigid PVC into something flexible. Now press it against warm leftover meatloaf. Those same softening agents are pressing into your food. For anyone managing kidney health or families feeding toddlers reheated dinners every night, this isn't a bargain. This is a chemical delivery system priced by the foot. Sam's Club charges less. Your body pays more. Every roll you buy, every sheet you tear, every leftover you cover adds to the total. Bulk savings, bulk exposure. Welcome to the warehouse deal. You just saw what the budget brands are hiding. So surely spending more gets you something safer? Not even close. At number 10, we have Tite, the specialty brand. Premium freezer wrap marketed specifically for long-term food storage. The label promises superior protection against freezer burn, airtight seal, maximum freshness. For anyone stocking freezers with meal-prepped portions or families batch cooking for the week ahead, Tite sounds like exactly what you need. Then you look at the material. Tite is made from polyvinylidene chloride, PVDC, a close chemical cousin of PVC. PVDC clings better than polyethylene wraps because it's denser, tighter, more chemically aggressive. That aggression comes from chlorine atoms bonded into the polymer chain. When PVDC degrades, it can release trace chlorinated compounds. Now think about how long freezer wrap stays on food. Not hours, not days, weeks, months. A 2024 Norwegian university study tested 36 common plastic food packaging materials and found that half contained chemicals that activate estrogen receptors in human cells. Endocrine disruptors, hiding in the plastic touching your frozen chicken breasts, your soups, your kids' labeled lunch portions. The longer the contact, the greater the migration. Tite was designed for maximum contact time. That's the selling point. That's also the problem. Unwrap a frozen casserole that's been sealed in PVDC for 3 months. Notice how the wrap has bonded to the food surface. That slightly stiff, almost crystallized edge where the plastic fused to the sauce. That's not just freezer burn. That's molecular exchange. For people managing cholesterol medication or anyone batch cooking specifically to eat healthier, you wrapped your good intentions in a chemical blanket. The freezer didn't protect you. The wrap was the threat the whole time. Longer storage, longer exposure, premium price for premium risk. But this next brand is worse because it targets the people trying hardest to do the right thing. Number 9 is one that might surprise you. Natural Value, the eco-friendly brand, the green packaging. The words clear food wrap printed next to claims of being environmentally conscious. Natural Value markets itself to health-conscious shoppers who have already done their research. People who already avoid the big corporate brands. People who specifically seek out alternatives because they care about what touches their food. Then independent material analysis found that natural value wrap is still made from standard low-density polyethylene, LDPE, the same base material as most conventional wraps, the same polymer that a study in the journal Integrated Environmental Assessment and Management confirmed releases microplastics under stress, heat, and prolonged contact. The green label doesn't change the chemistry. You can print forests on the box. The plastic inside doesn't know the difference. And here's where the betrayal cuts deepest. Natural value charges a premium, roughly double the price per square foot of conventional brands. For that premium, you get identical material with a friendlier box. A 2023 Consumer Reports investigation found phthalates and related plasticizer chemicals in nearly all 85 food products they tested, with packaging being a primary migration source. The wrap material matters more than the marketing, and natural values material is the same as everyone else's. For people who switched brands specifically because they're managing thyroid conditions, or families paying extra to keep chemicals away from their children, you didn't buy safety. You bought a story printed on recycled cardboard. Green label. Same plastic. Double the price. Eco-friendly packaging. Chemical identical contents. If the natural brands can't be trusted, and the eco labels are just marketing in a different color, at least the industrial strength wraps are honest about what they are, right? Wrong. Here's where it gets personal. Number 8. Polyvinyl films. Food wrap, the commercial-grade cling film. The brand used in restaurant kitchens, catering companies, and institutional food service across America. You've probably never bought it yourself, but you've eaten food wrapped in it hundreds of times. Every deli counter, every hotel breakfast buffet, every hospital cafeteria tray. This is the wrap behind the scenes, and it's still made from PVC, not the reformulated consumer version, the original formulation. Commercial PVC cling films are allowed higher plasticizer concentrations because they're classified under different regulatory categories than retail products. The FDA's Food Contact Notification System doesn't require the same testing for commercial wraps that it does for consumer packaging. A study published in the journal Chemosphere found that PVC food wraps used in commercial settings released DEHA, a plasticizer chemically similar to the banned DEHP, into fatty foods at rates that exceeded European safety limits. The cheese at your deli counter, the rotisserie chicken under the heat lamp, the potato salad behind the glass, all wrapped in commercial PVC while warm. Warm food, fatty food, hours of contact. The perfect recipe for chemical migration. And nobody told you. No label, no warning, no choice. For anyone recovering from surgery whose immune system is already compromised, or people on blood-thinning medication eating hospital meals every day, you trusted the institution. The institution trusted the cheapest wrap on the market. The deli worker doesn't know what's in the wrap. The hospital kitchen staff doesn't ask. The nursing home aide covering a resident's dinner plate has no idea what chemical is pressed against the mashed potatoes. Nobody in the chain questions it. Commercial grade, consumer risk, institutional silence. There are 2 brands that actually passed every independent safety test I found. We'll get to them, but not yet. Most people have no idea there's a safer way to store food that costs about the same. Stick around. I'll break it down at the very end of this video. Now at number 7. Kroger brand plastic wrap. The familiar store label. Kroger operates nearly 2,800 stores across America. Their house brand sits on shelves right next to the premium options, priced just enough less to make you reach for it. The packaging says BPA-free. It says microwave safe. The Kroger name is printed right on the box, and that name carries decades of grocery shopping trust. But Kroger doesn't manufacture plastic wrap. They contract it out. Store brands across America routinely source from the same third-party manufacturers that produce the cheapest generic wraps on the market. No additional testing, no proprietary safety standards. Just a different label on the same product. A 2024 investigation by the Food Packaging Forum found that more than 3,600 chemicals used in food contact materials have been detected in human tissue. The researchers noted that store-brand products often receive less independent scrutiny than name brands because consumers assume the retailer has done the vetting. They haven't. Kroger's own website lists no independent lab results for their plastic wrap, no third-party migration testing, no chemical composition disclosure beyond the legally required minimum. Open the box, that thin, slightly clingy film. Press it against a warm bowl of soup. Watch how it tightens as the steam hits it. That contraction is heat doing what heat does to plastic, accelerating molecular release. Every molecule that leaves the wrap enters your food. For people who use plastic wrap every single day, or families who trust the store brand because the store name feels familiar, the name on the box and the safety of the product are two completely different things. Kroger's name, someone else's plastic, zero transparency. Why do you think the FDA still allows chemicals in food packaging that Europe banned years ago? Is it ignorance or is it profit? Drop a comment below, because the pattern doesn't stop here. If this is helping you make safer choices at the store, hit subscribe. It's free, and it means you'll never miss these investigations. Number 6. Stretch Tite, the cult favorite. The plastic wrap with a devoted following. Online reviews praise its cling, its strength, its ability to seal anything airtight. Stretch Tite markets itself as premium performance, superior seal technology, the wrap that actually works. And it does cling better than most, because it's made from PVC. While most consumer brands switched to polyethylene years ago, Stretch Tite kept the PVC formula, the same material the rest of the industry moved away from because of health concerns, the same material that requires plasticizers to function. Stretch Tite contains DEHA, di-2-ethylhexyl adipate, a plasticizer that the National Center for Health Research has flagged as chemically similar to the banned DEHP. A 1998 Consumers Union study found DEHA levels in plastic-wrapped foods that exceeded limits set by European regulatory agencies. A 2021 study found that DEHA triggered brain and heart injuries in laboratory rats, and Stretch Tite still uses it. That's why it clings so well. That's why it stretches so smoothly. That's why it seals airtight. The performance is the chemical. The chemical is the problem. Pull a sheet, feel how it grabs your fingers. That aggressive, almost sticky grip that fans love. That's DEHA making rigid PVC feel like silk. Now stretch it over warm lasagna, over buttered corn, over anything with fat. DEHA migrates into fat faster than any other food type. The fattier the food, the faster the transfer. The warmer the dish, the more aggressive the migration. For anyone managing heart medication or people already dealing with liver strain from multiple prescriptions, you chose the best performing wrap on the shelf. The performance is the poison. Superior cling, superior chemical transfer. Loyal fans don't want to hear it, but the lab results don't care about brand loyalty. Think you've been making the smart choice by reading labels carefully? Wait until you see what the labels leave out. Number 5 is one most people trust without question. Great value. Walmart's house brand. Found in more American kitchens than almost any other single product. Great value plastic wrap costs under $3. For millions of families on fixed incomes, it's the only option. The box says microwave safe, but a peer-reviewed study in Environmental Science and Technology found that when plastic wraps labeled microwave safe were heated to standard microwave temperatures, chemical migration rates increased by 300 to 500% compared to room temperature contact. The label means the wrap won't visibly melt. It doesn't mean the chemicals stay put. Microwave safe is a temperature threshold, not a chemical guarantee. And Great Value, like Kroger, doesn't manufacture its own wrap. It contracts production. The supplier, the formula, the plasticizer content are all invisible to the consumer. Walmart's own product specifications provide no independent lab migration data. No third-party chemical testing results. Nothing. You get a box, a price, and a logo you recognize. The average American household uses approximately 500 feet of plastic wrap per year. At Great Value prices, that's less than $6 annually. For a family reheating dinner 4 nights a week, that's roughly 200 instances of heated plastic pressing against food every year. Exposed for years. For decades. For people taking daily thyroid medication whose endocrine system is already vulnerable, or families stretching every grocery dollar to feed their kids, the cheapest wrap on the shelf has a cost that never appears on the receipt. Under $3. Over 200 heat exposures per year. That's the real price of Great Value. And wait until you hear what number 1 did. That brand made me rethink everything I thought I knew about plastic wrap. At number 4. Kirkland Signature, the Costco brand. The membership-only wholesale club where educated, higher-income shoppers buy in bulk because they believe they're getting better quality for less money. Kirkland Signature is Costco's crown jewel, trusted across dozens of product categories. Their plastic wrap comes in a massive 750-square-foot roll. It feels sturdy. It looks professional. The box promises food-safe, BPA-free, microwave-safe performance. But Kirkland's signature plastic wrap is made from the same low-density polyethylene as every budget brand we've already covered. Same polymer, same migration potential, same microplastic risk. A 2023 study from the University of Nebraska found that LDPEE food wraps released between 4.6 and 13 million microplastic particles per square meter when subjected to typical kitchen conditions including heat, stretching, and tearing. 13 million particles from one sheet. Now multiply that by a 750-foot roll, by weekly use, by years of membership. The particles are invisible. They don't change the taste. They don't change the look. They accumulate. Scientists have now found microplastics in human blood, lung tissue, liver, and brain. They don't leave. They don't break down. They build up. For people already managing inflammation from autoimmune conditions, or anyone on immunosuppressant medication after a transplant, every microplastic particle is a burden your body wasn't designed to carry. Costco built its reputation on quality. Kirkland's signature carries that promise. But the plastic inside that box doesn't know it's supposed to be better. Open the box, unroll a sheet, hold it up to the kitchen light. It looks clean. It looks safe. That's the problem. You can't see microplastics. You can't taste them. You can't smell them. You only discover them years later, when they show up in blood tests and tissue samples that scientists are only now learning to measure. 750 feet of wrap, millions of microplastic particles. The Costco membership card doesn't protect you from chemistry. There is a way to protect yourself from all of this. Most people never learn it, but you will. Stay until the end. Here's where it gets personal. Number 3. Glad Cling Wrap. The name brand. The yellow box. Press and seal. Cling Wrap. Glad has been in American kitchens for over 60 years. Your mother used it. Your grandmother used it. You probably have a box in your drawer right now. Glad Cling Wrap is made from low-density polyethylene. Their press and seal line uses a patented adhesive layer designed to grip containers and food surfaces directly. That adhesive is what makes it different. It's also what should concern you. Adhesive chemicals in direct food contact wraps have been flagged by the European Food Safety Authority as requiring specific migration testing. Glad's marketing doesn't disclose the specific adhesive formulation. Their product page lists no third-party migration studies, no independent chemical testing, just a claim that the product meets FDA standards. Those FDA standards haven't been meaningfully updated for food contact adhesives since the 1990s. The agency acknowledged in September 2024 congressional testimony that its ability to assess chemical safety is limited by available data from manufacturers. Glad tests. Glad. Tear off a sheet of press and seal, press it against leftover pizza, peel it back. See that faint adhesive residue on the cheese surface. That slightly tacky film where the wrap gripped the food. That residue is real. You can feel it between your fingers. And you ate it on every leftover you reheated this year. For people managing multiple medications where liver processing is already strained, or anyone dealing with chronic kidney disease, Glad made a product that sticks to food and calls it a feature. 60 years of trust. Zero disclosure on what's in the glue. Press and seal, press and transfer. If that bothers you, number 1 is going to change the way you look at your entire kitchen. And the 2 safe alternatives? They're coming right after. Coming in at number 2. Reynolds Kitchen's Quick Cut Plastic Wrap. The red box. The sliding cutter. The brand that sits right next to Reynolds aluminum foil, borrowing the trust of one of America's most recognized kitchen names. Reynolds has been in American homes since 1947. When you see that name, you think dependable. You think safe. You think quality. Reynolds Kitchen's Quick Cut Plastic Wrap is still made using a PVDC-based formula. Polyvinylidene chloride, the same chlorinated polymer the industry has been moving away from for 2 decades. The same material that can release chlorinated byproducts as it degrades. The same chemistry that Europe has restricted more aggressively than the United States. Reynolds wraps are used in hospitals. They're used in senior living facilities. They're served on meal trays to people recovering from heart surgery, managing diabetes, fighting infections with weakened immune systems. If the hospital uses it, it must be safe. That's what everyone believes. But hospitals choose packaging based on cost contracts and supply chain convenience. Not independent chemical migration testing. Not patient health outcomes. Cost. A 2014 study in Canada found that PVC and PVDC food wraps used in institutional settings released measurable DEHP into fatty foods like cheese, with levels ranging from 0.29 to 15 milligrams per kilogram. Some of those levels exceeded the European Union's specific migration limit. Reynolds has been on shelves for nearly 80 years. The trust runs deep. The chemistry runs deeper. For immunocompromised patients eating institutional meals daily, or people on blood thinners whose bodies process toxins more slowly, the red box with the famous name isn't a guarantee. It's a gamble. 80 years of trust. 0 years of transparency about what's in the wrap that touches your food. If these chemicals are so dangerous, why are these brands still on every shelf in America? Do you think it's ignorance or profit? Drop your answer below. Coming in at number 1, Saran Wrap. The name that started it all. The brand so iconic that plastic wrap itself is called Saran Wrap in most American households, regardless of what they actually buy. Saran Wrap was invented in 1933 by Dow Chemical Company. Originally made from polyvinylidene chloride, the same chlorinated plastic used in fighter plane equipment during World War II. Dow took a military-grade chemical barrier and sold it to your grandmother for her leftovers. For decades, Saran Wrap contained phthalates, endocrine disruptors linked to insulin resistance, high blood pressure, reproductive damage, and early menopause. When the health concerns became impossible to ignore, Saran quietly reformulated, switched to polyethylene, removed the phthalates, took out the chlorine, marketed the change as progress. But here's what they never did. They never told consumers what they'd been exposed to for the previous 50 years. From 1953 to 2004, every family that used Saran Wrap pressed phthalate-laden chlorinated plastic against their food. Every Thanksgiving turkey, every leftover birthday cake, every sandwich packed for school. 5 decades. Millions of families. Chemicals now banned in children's toys across America and Europe. Dow Chemical knew. They reformulated because they knew. They never issued a recall. Never a warning. Never a public acknowledgement. The Consumer Reports investigation that found DEHP in more than half the food products they tested noted it causes health problems at levels well below what regulators consider safe. Saran delivered those chemicals for half a century. For people who've used this wrap their entire adult lives and now manage heart conditions, or anyone whose kidneys filter a lifetime of accumulated toxins, the exposure isn't theoretical. It already happened. 5 decades of trust. 5 decades of silent exposure. Saran Wrap didn't just wrap your food, it wrapped the truth. 11 brands exposed. From Sam's Club bulk deals, hiding PVC, to Freeze Tite's long-term chemical storage. From Natural Values green lies to commercial wraps nobody warns you about. From Kroger's invisible sourcing to Stretch Tite's cult following built on DEHA. From Walmart's $3 chemical delivery to Costco's microplastic membership. From Glad's adhesive secrets to Reynolds' institutional gamble. And finally, Saran Wrap, the brand that poisoned America for 50 years and quietly changed the formula without ever apologizing. That's what's been sitting in your kitchen drawer. That's what you've been pressing against your family's food. But don't give up on wrapping food entirely. Remember when I said there were 2 alternatives that passed every single test? Here they are. The first one that actually passed is Bees Wrap, made from organic cotton coated in beeswax, organic jojoba oil, and tree resin. No plastic, no polyethylene, no PVC, no PVDC, no plasticizers, no DEHA, no microplastics. Nothing synthetic touching your food. Every ingredient is GOTS certified organic, meaning independent labs verified the sourcing and the processing. The wax creates a natural seal that clings to bowls, plates, and food surfaces using just the warmth of your hands. Unwrap a piece of cheese stored in bees wrap. Smell that subtle honey and beeswax. Feel the soft, slightly textured surface. Compare that to the chemical sheen of plastic cling film. This is food storage the way it worked before the petrochemical industry convinced us we needed PVC on our dinner plates. Bees wrap costs more per sheet than plastic, but each wrap is reusable for up to a year. That means less waste, less exposure, and less money over time. For anyone tired of choosing between their budget and their health, this is the wrap that doesn't force that choice. The second one worth your trust is If You Care certified food wrap, made from unbleached, chlorine-free paper coated in soybean wax, completely compostable, certified by the Forest Stewardship Council. No plastic of any kind, no synthetic chemicals in the coating, no endocrine disruptors, no microplastics. If You Care publishes their full material composition. They submit to third-party testing. They disclose what other brands hide. It's available at most natural grocery stores and online for roughly the same price as premium plastic wraps. The wax paper feels different. It doesn't cling the way plastic does, but that's exactly the point. The cling was always the chemical. Without plasticizers, there's no aggressive grip. Without aggressive grip, there's no migration. The trade-off is minor. The protection is real. For families feeding children, or anyone whose body is already fighting to process a lifetime of accumulated chemical exposure, If You Care gives you what the label says: actual care, actual transparency, actual safety. 11 brands, 11 betrayals, one kitchen drawer that needs cleaning today. Your food deserves better than a chemical blanket. Your body already knows it. Subscribe now. And if you're watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.